If you are enjoying this podcast and other podcasts on the Dragon Wagon Radio Network, be sure to check out the Dragon Wagon Shop. Awesome t-shirts and mugs from your favorite shows so you can tout your podcast pride all while supporting your favorite podcast network. And make sure to check it often for new items and limited time designs. Shop now at dragonwagonradio.com/shop and get your dragon swag on.
Where did I put the beer? There it is. Do you have yours?
No, actually, I forgot where I put it. Oh, hey.
Clink.
Hey! It's just like we recorded this yesterday.
Who is this strange man I'm sitting
two.
next to? Oh, look at that
Ah,
fog come out the top. Perfect.
yeah. I just sprayed myself with Pacifico.
That's right, friends.
Cheers.
Chad Peter is back in the house.
I'm back.
Back in my house.
Did you miss me?
Nobody missed you,
Do you
Chad.
remember who I am?
Yeah.
What year is it?
It's still 2018, but it has been about 4 months, and since then, you've got something I don't have. A big bushy beard!
Oh, I thought you were going to say, herpes or something.
And a wedding ring.
Do I have a beard? I feel like I'm not any different than I was before, beard-wise.
Well, it's very big and round.
This is not as bad as it was. So yes, I did get married
With a beard.
with a beard.
Not to a beard, but you had the beard as you were married.
Did I?
Yeah, I made fun of you.
You should have seen me like in the week prior, because the beard, quote unquote, that I had at the time was probably 5 times as great.
Why would you put beard in a quote if it was even huger? That's sort of...
Because I don't consider this a beard. This just seems
That's
like
a beard.
an inconvenience.
I don't know. It takes me a long time to grow the facial hair, so I don't know. That's probably like 3 days worth for you. That looks like about 3 years worth for me.
Yes, it feels like a lot of, I don't know, just...
It's a soup catcher.
It's the PTSD beard from working this job.
Do you care to go into any detail about that?
Well, it's out now.
The show is out now. Homecoming.
It came out on Friday.
Amazon
which
Prime?
will be 2 Fridays ago, I think, as of this posting.
Yeah, I've seen posters and billboards.
I can't escape. It's everywhere in LA.
It's not one of those Hulu shows, though, right?
Amazon.
Good.
It's the same damn thing, right?
No.
What? Why do you...
Nobody likes Hulu. They still have commercials on Hulu.
Because it was like the first one? I mean, it wasn't... Hulu was like kind of like the first streaming, like...
That's how I saw all of 30 Rock.
I just remember
and
the first
Family
day
Guy.
Hulu kind of came out of nowhere. And I was like, what do you mean you can watch TV for free online?
You just have to watch the same commercial over and over and over again.
Yeah.
At every break. But yeah, that was sort of the first big one. Netflix was around already, but they may have only done the disc stuff at that point.
I don't feel like House of Cards had come out yet.
No.
For Netflix, so that was kind of...
Well, I think they were doing streaming maybe. I don't know. The timeline's fuzzy. They're doing streaming,
Has
but
it
they
really
didn't
been
have
around
their
that
own
long?
content.
It feels like it's been 10 years.
Yeah.
It has to have been like 2010 or something.
You know what the first movie I ever streamed on Netflix was? Take a guess.
Take a guess?
Yeah. Because the library was kind of limited at first. They only had like 100 to 200 movies.
Clue.
No. I don't think that's ever... Well, no, that's been on Netflix. The first one I ever watched was Real Genius with Val Kilmer.
Nice.
And so this episode, we're not watching Real Genius.
No, we're not. Are we already diving into the episode? We haven't even had a chance to catch up.
That sounded like
How
a
you
segue.
been, Mark?
It sounded like a segue.
How you
It's
been?
not a segue.
It is a segue to more talking.
I've been busy. Not as busy as you. I managed to record a few episodes in your absence, as you know, because you're still the one cutting them.
I'm glad one of us is at least keeping up with the podcast.
I always think whenever I have the C-stand with the microphone here, I'm always like, yeah, I'm going to do like 2 or 3 podcasts a week. This is going to be great. You know, have this whole catalog built up so we can like dip into that whenever we need to fill in. And then I just get busy like people do. Yeah. And, you know, in 4 months, I've managed to do 3 more without you.
Well, even today I was thinking, I was like, or last week I was like, oh, maybe we could do like 2 or 3, you know, so that we have more. Because right now we've got the episode with you and Jake coming up this week. Well,
right. By the time you guys hear this, that will be out already.
It'll be out already. But we're still almost like, I thought we had like a build up, but I was like, you know what? I got to start hitting every Tuesday again.
If you wanted to get here a little bit earlier today, we could have done 2, but I got to get up for work in the morning, man.
Well, plus I want to like, I wanted to spend the entire day working on the Australia film because I have not touched it at all since I started Homecoming because it was so intense I couldn't, if I wanted to maintain a relationship outside of the show. We talked about this before.
Yes.
In the work-life balance episode, whatever one that was.
No idea.
You know, one of those ones 6 months ago or something. But yeah, there's no. Right, I'm back on Mindhunter again already.
I saw that.
And it's like a vacation. It's like a vacation. It's like a vacation. A 50-hour-a-week job is like
not 80 or 90 hours a week.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like a vacation. So I'm actually able to do things like this and the other thing. Are you gonna watch Homecoming?
What's it about?
My bearded effort.
I listened to the first season of the podcast, and I am intrigued.
Okay.
I didn't keep listening to the podcast because I'm kind of like, they're making.
I don't think you have to.
They're making a TV show version of this.
Yeah, watch the show and
why would I do the radio version? Yeah, I'll get to it right after I get through the next 5 seasons of The Walking Dead.
Right. Yeah, I'm 2 seasons behind on Walking Dead, but it started to kind of like go off the rails a bit.
I'm 2 seasons deep on The Walking Dead.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. Like
you've still got like 3 or 4 good seasons left then.
Okay, good. I actually was watching some of the newest ones that came out on Netflix last month or so, and I kind of sat down. Is she caught up? She's all caught up. Oh. She's fine. That's one that she was watching before we even started dating way back in the day. But I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Why the fuck is everybody here? What the fuck is going on?
Why would you do this to yourself?
And, well, I only did that for about 15 minutes total.
Okay.
And then you're like, screw this. I got to go back to season 3 where I left off.
You know, I mean, I've only seen season 1 of Fear of the Walking Dead. But season 1 was fantastic.
I heard it was very good, yeah.
And I've heard that it's kind of gone off the rails as well, unfortunately. So I don't know what it is.
This is what happens. I think it's you can't help it with a successful TV show, because when a TV show is successful, you keep getting more seasons.
Right.
And the writers go like, well, what the, come on, we wrote this to last like 5 seasons.
Right.
What are we going to do for 6 and 7 now?
Yeah.
What do you mean we got a 4-season pickup? That's fucking crazy. We don't have any more to write about, guys.
Right.
We have to make a whole new show, which they did for The Walking Dead.
What are you working on now?
I'm back on Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. I think I mentioned in the last episode you were here for that I was going back to it. Now I'm like halfway through the season. It's airing.
Are you working 5 days a week on it?
Yes. Okay. Sometimes 6, but not. That's very rare.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like you've taken time off since I saw you
total vacation. You would consider it not even a real job.
Look, Mark, my head has not grown larger than my ass, okay?
And beyond Crazy X, which the job would go until like March, my previous show that I've also mentioned on this podcast, Strange Angel on CBS All Access, got picked up for season 2.
And I still need to see season 1. I saw the ads and everything. We talked about this.
Yeah, there were billboards all over town.
I saw the ads, billboards, but I have not seen anything like of the show.
Nobody watched it.
Yeah. Well, it's on CBS. That's
CBS All Access,
which no one has.
It's the thing people bought for Star Trek and then canceled.
Right.
which is
And they'll probably buy it again for the new season of Star Trek. And
exactly.
cancel it
And
again.
maybe they'll be like, oh, there's other stuff here too. Maybe I don't have to cancel. I'll watch this other stuff.
Well, maybe I'll watch it.
The goal, I think, with going with season 2, not because season 1 did gangbusters in the ratings or anything, not that we have that information. My guess is that because it's kind of a fledgling little on-demand channel, they don't want to cancel one of their only originals.
Yeah.
If only to
It's
avoid
too early,
looking
yeah.
like they're failing.
They're
at it.
still like...
They want to put out a strong image, at least.
Yeah. You got to wonder like how many people actually watch those kind of shows. And with the amount of hirings, like anytime you look at the job listings in town for Netflix, and it's just ridiculous. The amount
I hear Netflix is a shitty company to work for.
You were the second person in 2 days to say that, and I had never heard this before.
At least
someone was telling me.
Maybe certain jobs as a show producer and a show runner.
Yeah.
The higher up you go, probably the easier it is because they're very hands off with the creative aspect, and they have a shitload of money, which is always nice. So there aren't a lot of challenges once you get the show greenlit. But I think for everybody further down the chain, you have to deal with all kinds of like security protocols, and the promo people are idiots or whatever.
Well, that's nothing new.
Yeah, I mean,
across the board, that's nothing new.
the promo people are always idiots. I don't like the promo department. Sorry if anybody out there is
Sorry,
in the promo department.
Go fuck yourself.
These are people who make awful commercials for the show I'm working on. I'm making better previously on segments than they are making commercials. They're not using the right music. Nothing matches.
Well, my biggest problem, I'm gonna if there's promo people out there who have their own podcast, I'm sure they've complained about production and post. But
it's
say
a constant civil war out there.
It's like the world has to stop suddenly. You'll be working towards a deadline.
Yeah.
An actually important deadline to finish an episode. And then suddenly
Keywords, actually important deadline.
Out of nowhere, the network will say, "Hey, could you guys get us this, and this by say tomorrow? Is that cool? Because we want to do a promo for this thing." And we're like, "You realize that
we're busy, assholes.
We're busy as fuck, and that is an extremely large amount of stuff that you need for something you're not even going to use, and most of the time you don't even see it later on." Yeah. They don't communicate with production, first of all, because I've seen experiences in the past where it's like the entire production team is totally caught off guard by a request or a scheduled promo shoot where neither the director nor the stars know that this is happening, or that maybe the actors know that it's going to happen, but they just assume it's going to be with the same director or something. But it always ends up being this B team that they've never met.
Yeah, they don't know what the hell's going on.
Who kind of comes along.
They don't know who's who.
I don't know.
On Crazy X.
I don't know how we got off on this tangent, but
we're just bitching about work now.
Yeah.
On Crazy X, there's a lot of musical segments, and they put those online. Those are like half of the promo clips, all the music video segments. But we can't just give it to them once. We have to give it to them in like 3 different forms. We have to give it to them with a certain audio channel split. We got to give it to them with on-screen lyrics, without on-screen lyrics. Sometimes only stereo for YouTube.
I almost feel like promo should just have a person in post.
Yes.
Who is there working with the post team.
Right. And they can just deal with all of that. And maybe the promotional materials might turn out better than they usually do.
Yeah.
When they have a little more focus. But then it's, another salary they have to pay. They don't want to do that.
No, but they spend about as much money on the marketing as they do the actual show itself, it seems like. I mean,
True. My favorite bit of surprise deliveries we had to hand over, it was nearing, I don't know, I don't want to say the end of the season because things slowed down at the end of the season. We were still like making the show in post. And they suddenly told us, oh, tomorrow they're going to be shooting a thing with 2 of the main actors as the characters, but not talking about the show. they're basically doing an infomercial for this other fucking thing, and you get to cut it. And I kind of went, wait, what? I'm
You're like
an infomercial with these people in character, and it's not the show, and I have to work on this show simultaneously.
And they're
what are you on?
They're pitching it to you as if it's a favor to you.
Sort of, yeah.
Sort of.
Well, the way you put it was sort of just like, no, this is happening, so get with the program.
Oh.
But everything with assistant editors is always presented like, hey, but you never know who's gonna see it.
Yeah, right.
No one's gonna see it. No one who cares will see it.
I never understood, because on House of Cards, like, we always knew there was promos working alongside of us, but we never got wind of any of it. And half the times they're using shots that are in our show, like, and House of Cards, of course, is, every motion shot is stabilized. And then you watch the trailers and they've just pulled from the raw that's unstabilized.
So
it's
all
like,
shaky,
it doesn't look, I mean, we could have given them, if they would communicate with us, and I'm sure they're saying vice versa, because I'm sure they don't have any context.
They would have taken the final stuff and overcut it to match their rough cut or whatever.
I guess that, I don't know what that falls on, maybe back on the network, but it seems like the network kind of operates independently of production and post, because nobody knows ultimately what the hell is going on. So
right. And that's how you got your job.
Right.
Because they didn't know better.
Exactly. I mean, I pitched the job for Homecoming. I said, I want to do this. And they said, well, have you ever done it before? And I said, well, no. And they're like, well, all right, you're hired. All right, let's talk about this movie.
Okay. Well, let's talk about what we could have done aside from this. We could have done a little movie called Beyond the Black Rainbow.
Beyond the Black Rainbow was, what, 4 or 5 years ago?
What's this fucking director's name?
Panos Cosmatos.
Panos Cosmatos?
That's probably more accurate.
Sounds better.
It sounds better for the Greek name that it is.
Yeah.
What was your introduction to that movie?
I think I had seen the trailer online, and it looked super fucking weird.
Yeah.
And I was like, this could be just one of those visually arresting movies that you want to see in a theater. And I never saw it in a theater. Kind of caught up on Netflix the year after that. And I couldn't tell what was going on. So on the one hand, it really turned me off. But on the other, it was like hypnotic.
Yeah.
It was just so deliberately paced. And I was right. The visuals are very interesting. Even though a lot of it is just sort of like, oh, here's a lot of red light bulbs covering this room.
But done like
but
more creative than a student film would have done.
Yes. Yeah. It's got this weird LSD sort of aesthetic about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it jumps into really harsh black and white segments, which are like flashbacks. And then in the final act, it turns into like a weird slasher film. So it's all over the place, and I had to go to a website that broke everything down to actually understand the story.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's because I'm stupid. I asked you about it, and you were like, "Yeah, I got it." Why did you have trouble?
Well, it made enough of. I mean, I saw the trailer when it first came out, and I was like, "What is this? This is like right up my alley," and I was super excited about it. I didn't see it for a long time, though. I think I saw it for the first time with you.
Mm-hmm.
And you had already seen it.
I'd already seen it, and I introduced it to you by going like, let's watch this, and you tell me what the fuck it's about. And you did. And I was how did you know that?
But I don't remember. It didn't make enough of an impression to be like, yes, I remember all of it. Because I don't remember any of it. I remember pretty images, and I remember thinking it fell kind of short of the mark as far as like kind of coming together perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of what I'm hoping this does.
Come together perfectly?
The movie that we're going to watch is Mandy.
Yeah, it's Panos' second movie, or second one we've heard of anyway.
Starring your favorite actor of all time,
Nicolas Cage.
And
or Nicolas Coppola.
It's another case of seeing the trailer and going, wow, this looks like it's a sequel to Beyond the Black Rainbow, except way more fucked up with a bigger budget
And Nick Cage is in
a
it.
recognizable cast. And the trailer was just as crazy and cool looking as Beyond the Black Rainbow.
And critically, this has done very well.
Critically,
Lots
it's
of
done
people-
great.
Yeah.
However, and this I noticed also with Beyond the Black Rainbow, when I was super excited about this trailer, and I showed it to the guys in the office the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "You got to check out this movie. It looks fucking awesome." And they watched it, and they were just like, "Nah, it's just too weird for me. I don't want to do it. It looks bizarre."
It's kind of strange because there's so many movies that are made every year, and so many of the big ones are remakes or sequels or reboots. And people say that they want original films, something that doesn't rely on having seen the previous 5 Star Wars movies.
Right.
And then people come out and release those movies, the original ideas like this, and they don't go to see them because they look too weird.
Yeah. I guess that's the question, is how big is that audience that says we want to go see it? Because I'm beginning to get the feeling it's really only about 2.5% of people.
It could be.
Because the rest don't care.
Yeah.
And they will go see the
Transformers
45th
6.
Marvel movie. And
Hey, can I throw in real quick?
See it too.
I just watched Transformers 3 Dark Side of the Moon or whatever last night because I was curious.
I don't even remember which one that is.
It's where they go to the moon. There's shit on the moon.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Isn't that the second one?
That's the third one.
Oh.
How are these movies being made? It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
It's still being made too.
Yeah. The 3 Transformers movies I've seen are among the worst movies I've ever seen.
I actually don't mind the first one.
I hated the first one, but I hated the second one even worse.
I didn't like it when I first saw it, but the second time I saw it, I was like, all right, I kind of get the vibe of it. But it's at that point. It's like the Fast and the Furious movies, which at least those are enjoyable to watch, but there's just so many of them.
Mm-hmm. You can't keep them straight.
I don't even know how many they made.
They all have similar names.
I know, I'm with you. I don't understand it. And I feel like I heard somewhere that they're doing something else with it. Like
Transformers?
a TV show or something? Like,
I don't know. Haven't heard any of
because
that.
I mean, they've already got the Bumblebee.
Yeah, they're doing
offshoot,
like the prequel.
Which is insane.
I guess my point is that I hate those movies, and I am one of those. I'm one of those people who wants to see more original stuff and fewer sequels and blah blah blah. But I'm outnumbered about 100 million to 1, because if they just keep cranking out more Autobots movies, they'll go. People will just line up. They don't care.
Just make money in China or something, or
it makes money here.
I just
They're huge movies.
I don't know anybody who's seen outside of you seeing the third one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anybody who has seen any of them.
Who's like a fan? I know a few. They're like nerds.
They have to be like $200 million movies. Like
nerds who like that stuff in the 80s, and they're happy that
and we
it's
don't
still
know.
being
I don't
made
know
now.
anybody who works on those movies.
No, I don't know.
Which is shocking.
We don't talk to these fucking assholes. We don't know them, but they're out there.
Is it Michael Bay? Like he's still doing?
He's still directing all of them. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. They're doing like one every 2 years.
So you're telling me that he's done like 7 or 8 of these movies?
I think only 6
in the time that it's taken James Cameron to make nothing.
Yes.
On his way to, because didn't Avatar and Transformers come out at like the same time?
Avatar, wasn't that
generally
2010?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was around the same time.
Yeah. Because I just remember there was I think it was around the same time, because I went to the same theater to see those movies, and I haven't been back to that theater since. So, but anyway. So, Mandy looks awesome.
This is not one of those big budget things. It's just a bigger budget than Beyond the Black Rainbow, which, despite my misgivings about it, I would recommend you go watch.
I think we should watch that at some point as well.
Really?
Yeah. So I can relearn what it's about and tell you again, and then I'll
I got it now. I don't need another education.
So this is not a movie that either one of us really brought. I technically brought it, but we both wanted to see this.
I was gonna say, Like
It
you
came
physically
out
brought it
on Blu-ray, DVD streaming, all on the same day that it came out.
in
Actually,
some
no,
small theaters.
It
Or it
actually
was
came
like
out
a
on
couple-
Blu-ray on last Tuesday.
And it's been in theaters for a couple months.
Has it been that long?
I
I
feel-
feel like it was
if-
only about a month.
I feel like it's more than 4 weeks at least.
So I guess really this is our second movie that's still in theaters that we're
Blade Runner
doing.
2049.
Blade Runner 2049 was the other one.
Yeah.
Even though we're watching it on your couch.
We could have gone to a real theater, Chad, but you
Yeah.
just had to you had to buy the Blu-ray.
Should we just do this?
I guess we should.
All right.
I hope when you do the trailer audio, it makes any fucking sense.
It's good to see you, pal.
Clink. That's 2 half-empty aluminum cans clinking. Not quite the same as a glass bottle. Here.
There we go. That's better.
Okay.
Under the crimson, primordial sky, the wretched warlock reached into the dark embrace. His fist closed around the serpent's eye. Strange and eternal.
I need you to get me that girl I saw. Do you know what to do? You're a special one, Mandy. I, too, am a special one. Let us be so very special together.
So what you gonna do with that thing?
I'm going hunting.
So what you hunting?
It's crazy evil. You think you're so in love? I'll show you love.
Oh man, they wronged you. You exceeded cosmic darkness.
It glowed from within, strange and eternal.
Where to start?
You know, one of these days we're gonna watch something really fucked up and like disturbing. You know, none of this Mickey Mouse bullshit that we watch.
No.
No.
This is like a Three Stooges movie.
Yeah. It's like,
Oh, I'm just noticing in the cast list there's a character named Fuck Pig. And Dog the Dog.
Dog the dog, Lizzie the tiger, Scabs, Sis. Yeah.
Scratch with a K. I mean, that's the weirdest one of them all.
Well then,
I honestly don't know where to begin. It's I enjoyed it.
yeah, it was a mood piece, I would call it.
For sure. The story is real simple. It's just a revenge thing,
Yeah.
but it's all about this movie makes you, or wants to make you feel something at the expense of everything.
Yeah.
At the expense of like moving your story forward or existing on planet Earth or anything. Like the lighting is real reminiscent of Beyond the Black Rainbow. Lots of that red that I mentioned before.
Well, the style, the music.
Mm-hmm. And this was
it's not-
Johan Johansson, right?
Yeah.
Who is
Before he passed
deceased.
away. We watched another movie that tried to be this.
The Void.
The Void. There's a lot of imagery that kind of comes back in both those movies.
I would
And
say
I don't-
that, like in The Void, that was kind of, as it got closer to the end, it felt like they went, oh shit, we got to go somewhere with this. Here, let's do that.
But like, I just mean like, there's like a big theme of like triangles
Mm-hmm.
and like
Maybe
just very stark, not quite 80s cosmic horror film to it, or feel to it. I don't think when did cosmic horror begin to be a thing? Because
in the world or in
well, just in general,
movies?
because I mean,
Cosmic horror, I think, was around in like the 1920s when Lovecraft was doing it. I think even the guy who wrote Conan the Barbarian like had some Lovecraftian gods as like the villains in some stories.
yeah, I guess
Those
that's
two
true.
work
I guess
very closely.
Lovecraft, yeah, it kind of starts there, doesn't it?
Yeah. The
But
sort
I-
of undying elder gods who cannot be killed. They just go to sleep for a while.
Yeah,
It's a sort of impending doom that we all know is coming, but we have no sense of when.
I think this is the first one I can recall, you know, at least in film. In film form, well, I mean, I guess In the Mouth of Madness
I was just gonna say,
has a lot of. Does it have a lot of Christian symbolism?
not a lot. I think there's a scene outside of
some.
a church. It was not really like based in a church or anything like that.
Well, I guess we should talk about the plot first.
Okay, that won't
So
take long.
We'll structure our thoughts more than
Right.
So
So wait, what is
what's the
Red Miller? That's who Nicolas Cage plays. Red Miller lives with Mandy Bloom, and one day Mandy's walking along the road, and a van full of weirdo Jesus freak cultists sees her walking, and the leader says, "I want her. Bring her to me." She laughs at his tiny dick. It wasn't so much a tiny dick. It was his crappy music.
Well, we kind of skipped over the part where he had one of his followers go out and summon these like
I did miss the demon biker
demon
part.
bikers who show up out of nowhere and basically go kidnap her, with these cultists.
Yeah.
And then, he gets naked in front of all of his followers and she laughs at his dick.
But it was mostly
Basically.
music, I think. But yeah, I mean,
And it's
when
shitty cult music.
when you're the cult leader and you're totally naked and the woman you just kidnapped to be your new lover starts laughing, that's not a good thing. You're not happy about that.
Yeah, so what do? You take her out back and you light her on fire in front of Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
And
Or whoever she's married to. Not necessarily Nicolas Cage every time.
from that point on, it basically just became a paint by numbers. Nicolas Cage is just gonna go.
I don't know if it was paint by numbers.
It wasn't, because honestly, it kind of caught me off guard the moment he went out. Like he had his whole montage of like building all his weapons,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of the
Smelting.
Ash versus Evil Dead kind
Right, like smelting the raw ore to make his own battle axe.
And this is like halfway through the movie, maybe.
Yeah, I don't even
And
know.
he immediately like finds someone. Like there's no searching involved. He like immediately finds the bad guys,
throughout
even
the
though
thing,
he kind of knows he's told where they're at.
Yeah, well, Bill Duke kind of told him, like, last time people saw him, they were down here by that road. So he just goes there. Oops, they're still there. And that's sort of how it goes. There's not a lot of detective work. He just kind of keeps looking until he finds these people that he's after. And I think that it gets towards that sort of macho character that they were trying to make. Like, it's not about being smart necessarily. It's just about being made out of willpower and nothing else.
Yeah,
You
and
just keep
Nicolas
going.
Cage.
And Nicolas Cage. He's had his hand nailed to the floor. He's had his wrists cut by these wire.
He's had a spear lunged into his belly.
Yep, he got stabbed into his ribs just like Christ on the cross.
Yeah.
He's got so much damage, and he drinks a whole bottle of vodka after he gets free after his wife has been immolated.
He has plenty of moments to become the Nicolas Cage we all want him to
Yeah.
be.
Him screaming to himself
Screaming, drinking.
in a room. But he drinks a whole bottle of vodka, starts smoking cigarettes again, and there's like a little quick sequence of him being a lumberjack at the beginning where he kind of turns down somebody handing him a bottle. So I think we're supposed to come away thinking that's his old life. He doesn't touch the booze anymore. He's sober and happy with Mandy.
Yeah.
But now all that's gone.
Now he's
now
like...
he is a man energized by revenge and vodka and some cocaine.
The first part of this movie, the first maybe third, maybe half, was almost identical in tone to Beyond the Black Rainbow for me.
Mm.
Like the way
In
the
tone,
progression, the blocking, like the just how the scenes were put together. Very slow, very deliberate, very, like you said, you made a point when we were watching Mandy before she's killed, before the cultists show up. Mandy like comes out of the water.
Yes. There's a whole scene where there's a little campfire. Nick Cage is by the fire, and Mandy's got this very freaky face. Andrea Riseborough has just got a freaky face in this movie.
And she also does
Big
like
black
step
eyes.
out of the water and stare like
Yeah. Through and over the fire.
yeah into the camera.
And that's the scene.
You were like, this is why I can't be a director or a writer, because I would write this and I would be like, well, that's kind of a pointless scene and throw
Nothing
it
happened
out.
here.
But we're watching it, nothing happens, but it's fucking terrifying just the way she looks. And yet Nicolas Cage sees beauty.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel about the movie? The pause almost makes it seem like you didn't like it.
No, I do like it. It was an enjoyable experience, but trying to like put it in a bottle.
Yeah.
And trying to explain why I liked it. It has some comedic elements. It's got some Nick Cage freaking out. It's got some Evil Dead levels of gore. I remember one of the reviews, like I saw quoted in the trailer, was the most emotionally involving movie ever made containing a chainsaw fight. And that's true. But I guess
I guess so, yeah.
I think it comes down to the fact that the movie is not really, it doesn't have a strong story or strong characters. The most interesting character really is the cult leader, just because he has the most lines in the movie, maybe. But it is all about making you feel his grief and his horror at seeing his girlfriend, I guess, murdered in front of him, and then making you feel what he feels every step along the way. Like, he's sort of deadened to the outside world after that.
Yeah.
No matter what weird monsters he's trying to kill, or whatever cultists or LSD cookers he comes across, he's just got this sort of like almost a blank face. Like, he doesn't even care who he's dealing with. He's just got to get to the end. He just needs to find some kind of justice.
Well, here's a question for you, because, you know, it's like you and I, it's like we both have movies that we've collected, you know, or ones that we like to revisit from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would say, like, this movie was enjoyable, and it's definitely, like, right up my alley. But I can't, it's the kind of thing where I'm like, even with Beyond the Black Rainbow, it's like I have it around in case I want to go see something that's like cosmic horror, but I don't know that I ever actually need to see it again.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of falls into this weird, like, yeah, I want to own it so I can watch it whenever.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure I ever actually want to see it again. And I don't know what it is. It's like, you're right. It's missing enough of a story, or maybe it's just, it kind of makes you uncomfortable. The movie's like not built to make you feel comfort.
Yeah.
It's funny, but it's not like something like
even
not-
though it does have like the 3-act thing, we introduce the character, something bad happens, he begins his journey, and then he kills the bad guy at the end. Even though it's got this sort of like generic 3-act thing going on, I don't feel all that satisfied.
Yeah.
At the end, even after the big bad dude is begging for his life, do you want me to suck your dick? I'll blow you, man. And then he gets his head squashed like a grape. Even that, like, it made me chuckle and go, whoa, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
It didn't make me go, yes, like, all right, we finally got to the end of this journey.
Which is unfortunate because it's like it's so unique and but is it original? I mean, it's original visually and like it's very inventive, but the story is not.
I think I think I know why it might be a little bit derivative. I remember seeing some interview online with Panos Cosmatos. I think they were talking about Beyond the Black Rainbow at the time, but he said whatever movie he was talking about with this one or that one, the inspiration was sort of the memory of going to the local video store, video rental store, and just seeing the covers of all these 80s horror movies.
Yeah.
And then going like,
oh, that's
what I can't remember what those movies were, but maybe I should just like make the idea of that memory.
Well, that's kind of what this feels like.
And this feels exactly like the same thing, yeah.
But I don't remember having seen any movies like those.
No,
maybe I mean, I never did see Hellraiser. I've never seen.
There's a lot of
Nightmare on
Hellraiser.
Elm Street.
You've never seen Nightmare on Elm Street?
Any of them?
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Well, I've never seen Halloween either. You showed me Halloween 3 before I've seen anything else.
Well,
so
that's okay because it's disconnected from.
And now I'm seeing. Yeah.
Didn't we? No, we didn't do Hellraiser.
The closest thing I've seen to this is if you took Army of Darkness and mashed it with Beyond the Black Rainbow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With splashes of the Void.
Right.
I feel like you end up with this movie.
Even though the Void also is very derivative.
I would love to see this guy do something like Good Will Hunting.
Oh, Jesus. But why? Why?
No, I mean, I'm just saying, I not specifically. I would love to see him
just get him outside of his wheelhouse.
That is, yeah, something that's not dark and it can be dark. I just want to see him do it. I want to see someone give him an actual script.
Something more like a human drama.
Yeah.
Something a little more reality based.
And be like, go. Because
yeah, I mean,
I'm sure he would grumble when he looks at it, but
he'd probably rewrite it and just make it his own thing anyway.
Yeah. But
fucking directors.
We're kind of at that weird time where it's like the mid-range movies are gone.
Mm-hmm.
Now
like it's all super low budget video shot kind of movies.
It's all Netflix now.
It's all Netflix, or
so
it's all huge.
There's
$100 million
no fanfare really anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just kind of shit just kind of gets bought up and it either disappears or it shows up on Netflix in like the unfound like searchable areas where it just kind of goes
those weird categories. You know what's kind of funny? Video stores have mostly disappeared now, and let's say this movie was in fact inspired by what he saw as a kid at the video store.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's any kids on Netflix now who, nobody has time to watch all those movies, so all those little thumbnails you click past. I wonder if there's some kid who will end up making a movie based on movies he never watched from Netflix.
From Netflix?
On the, the HoloNet or whatever we have 30 years from now.
I just wish Netflix and any of them, really, Amazon, Hulu, whatever, I wish it was more like search friendly. Because right now it's kind of like
if you have to search
you get
for
the
a specific
algorithm
title
of what they want you to see or what's new, or now it's specifically like Netflix originals like tend to hit the top before anything else. So it's like they can pretty much, make a #1 show by just putting it on the front page.
Right. By putting it up there for a week so everybody goes, okay, I'll give it a shot.
Which, I mean, it's always kind of been like that in some sense, but at the same time, yeah, walking through a video store, you would see everything if you walked left to right, like I did, just
I went up and down every aisle.
You're like, oh, what the hell's this? Like, and you would see everything that was in the store.
Yeah.
You would not miss anything that was in the store unless it was a big store. But Netflix, you log in, you look, and you've seen maybe 2% of what's up there.
Right.
And
They've
you've probably already made up your choice
movies
because
now,
there's so many good TV shows that you're never gonna find it. It feels like it's killed the cinematic experience for all of us, really. Same for this, like the fact that it was in theaters, but it also kind of came out on streaming and everything else around the same damn time. And this, I don't think this was outside. This played at like 1 or 2 theaters in LA.
Yeah, it was like at the Lemley and something.
Yeah,
down on Sunset.
Theaters
maybe.
we'd probably never go to. Just because
they're far and we work and we can't get there in time.
Exactly. It's an interesting time for movie making is what I'm getting at, because it feels like movies are uninspired now. This feels inspired, at least.
It does feel inspired.
It
just turns out to be kind of basic. It's fun while the ride is going, and you might want to rewatch it just to relive some of these crazy moments.
Yeah.
And some parts, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me a little bit of Hobo with a Shotgun.
Yeah.
If only because these weird demon bikers remind me of those weird demon gladiator guys from that movie that came out of fucking nowhere.
Right.
And felt totally tacked on because that is no longer existing within the world of the Hobo with a Shotgun.
Right.
It's like we go into Fantasyland. And this movie starts in Fantasyland because Mandy is way into these like fantasy sci-fi novels.
And she's a fantasy artist. Like she draws the...
she
paints
works at
the covers, doesn't she?
Did it show her painting them?
Well, she was painting one.
Because she works in like a gas station or something.
Yeah, but that's something. She was at home.
It was her hobby?
She was at home.
Okay, she's not like the official cover painter.
Nude woman and like some sort of
I remember seeing that.
fantasy,
I don't remember seeing her doing that, but...
like Boris Vallejo kind of shit. Like,
yeah. Frazetta,
yeah.
But she loves reading these books, and the further we get into the movie, the more it resembles one of those books. Like even there's a few interstitials where titles come up to kind of break the movie into chunks, and all of those titles look like they would be at home on the cover of one of those paperbacks. Something.
Do we think that this?
Sorry, the blue screen on the TV just blinded us in this dark room.
The Blu-ray just turned off, and now we're blind. I'm glad we caught that on tape. Do we believe that this is 100% everything that's happened in the movie like actually happens? Or do we think it's dream logic,
or some
Because at the end of the movie, he's driving out of a canyon that literally looks otherworldly.
Like there's 2 moons in the sky.
Yeah.
That is a good question, but except for that final shot, I don't see enough in the movie to really say, unless you're just counting the presence of demonic bikers from the get-go.
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of evidence to back that theory up.
Well, I mean, she's sitting in a chair reading a book.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of passages that we hear, or like the movie opens with a passage like a paragraph.
Mm-hmm. That one was about rock and roll.
Yeah, but yeah, at one point she's reading basically something about some fantastical thing. I don't know what the hell it was, but
I remember there was something about.
It kind of hinted that maybe what she was reading was what
eternal
ends up
emerald
happening.
light. And then one of his little cartoon dreams, she pulls an emerald out of the dying beast who is stabbed in the same place he was. So he becomes the beast.
Mhm.
But I still believe this is happening in the real world. He's just high on super acid.
And that might have been something that the movie needed to go further with to plant more, at least with Lynch, and listening to you guys talk about Lost Highway, like with those movies, they can be so convoluted, but there's layers there that you can go back and rewatch and try and like figure out, okay, what in the hell is going on here?
Though this be madness, yet there is method in it.
Right. Man, this is almost a little too straightforward, I guess, is the thing. Even if it was a story within a story, I still feel like it'd be too surface level to really last. Maybe that's the problem.
There isn't enough missing information for us to fill in the blanks in a creative way.
Right.
We can't use our imaginations with
Not
this
that
movie.
that's necessarily a good thing, but but yeah.
Well, I say that because I think some of the great movies that are what would you say about the ending? It's not set in stone. Gives you, I can't think of the fucking word. Not ambivalent. Just cut this part out later.
No. We live and die by our forgotten words.
It's 11 o'clock and I can't think of words in the English language now.
No, it's just not 100% like clear.
Yeah, well, some movies, like my favorite one, Blade Runner, doesn't give you all the answers.
Right.
And that's because the writers didn't know the answers.
Right.
And that story still leaves enough blank where the fans can really exist in that vacuum. In this movie, those spaces don't really exist.
Well, if you told everyone the answers, it's like it's no longer interesting. It's like, as long as there's a question, it's like people want to know what's the answer.
Yeah.
And then this is why the third act of most of these most action films fails, because it's like exactly how it's going to lead out because the answer of how it's going to end up, and the only time that it surprises us is when they break the mold and try something different,
right? That
goes against expectation. I guess this was just fun, just because it was like we knew how it was going to play out, but it was more the question was like, well, how creative is it going to kill this person? Like, it was too brutal. Like, but it wasn't. I guess I wasn't interested really. I could have turned off the last basically the last 45 minutes of this movie and not missed anything.
I remember saying pretty much the same thing when we did The Punisher with Thomas Jane. After a certain point, in that movie, it's after he defeats the big Russian guy by throwing boiling water in his face.
Right.
There's really no challenge for the Punisher after that point. It's just going through the motions of killing a bunch more bad guys. There's no nothing left. The story is essentially over. We're just watching him do it step by step. And the same thing here. I think I feel like the demon bikers, the ones he goes after first, should have been saved for the end.
Mm-hmm.
Structurally, that kind of makes more sense. They're the more powerful bad guys. But because he takes those four things out first, the rest of it, the big question for me was, how is he finding all of these people? There are no clues except for the acid cook telling him, oh, they're up north. Okay, well, that's very general, but I assume he got more after he said north. So it really does just become about a couple of action scenes and a couple of, ooh, yeah, he cut the old lady's head off.
Right.
And threw it at the last guy.
It kind of reminds me, like, and maybe that was another reason why I felt ultimately let down by the story of it. Mm-hmm. Not the visuals or not the inventiveness of it, but I think the fact that it kind of set up like, oh shit, who, like these biker gang, whatever, like who do they belong to? Turns out they don't belong to anybody.
Right.
Like they're not like underlings of anything. They're just kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And I thought that's kind of where I was expecting there's to be something more sinister beyond, the children and the biker gang.
Right. It would lead to something else.
Something else, but it doesn't, and it doesn't even necessarily, like, it didn't really leave room for believing that there was anything beyond them.
It's not asking for that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe it might have been a case of they wrote the script and it had this other thing, and then they're just like, it's too much, so they scaled it back.
Yeah, maybe it was just a rewrite. Maybe it was a budgetary thing. Who knows? But I should, like, getting back to the thing of questions and, like, what is left to ask about this movie. That's the only one. Did this cult leader guy actually have some sort of otherworldly powers? We know he can summon these demon bikers,
right?
And everything in the movie tells us that they are actually some kind of a paranormal demonic creature.
Right.
They're like slobbering drool and drinking weird fluids, and
right.
But they don't look human. They don't sound human.
And yet this guy doesn't appear to have any actual power.
Right. He just has a magic flute.
Magic flute, yeah. And some followers, but we don't really understand why he has followers.
Yeah, I'm not seeing the charisma of the cult leader here. It seems to be based mostly on Charles Manson.
I guess.
Because he was also like, he was trying to become like a popular musician, and he was obsessed with the Beatles, and a lot of his rage probably came out of the fact that he never made it as a musician.
Yeah. I would suggest people see this movie because it wasn't a bad movie.
No, it wasn't bad at all.
It's
just sort of like
unique.
I'm looking for more than is there.
It's actually, there's one other movie that I feel like this movie is more beautiful than, say, Under the Skin.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a movie like Under the Skin, when I think about it in hindsight, that strikes me as a movie that has a lot more layers to it.
Yes.
Like, there's a lot more going on there.
That has a conflicted main character who is going through some actions she may not feel comfortable with as the movie progresses. Like, there's an actual moral element to that story, and we see how she changes from beginning to end. This is a revenge movie.
Yeah. 100%.
And those are all pretty much the same.
But I mean, they're both kind of weird.
Yeah.
They fall into this kind of like sub-genre that's kind of sprouted up since the 80s.
Where this one is super, like, hyper unrealistic. It's surreal almost.
Mm. That
one kind of lives in the real world as much as it can until it goes to the Black Void room. But it's all like, I remember
we should
it
do
being,
that movie. It's been a long time since I've seen that, but I remember it scared the holy shit out of me at some points in those movies.
Yeah,
I think
that's a good one for later. Yeah, but I think when ScarJo is out in the world trying to lure ScarJo,
how old are you?
I am 14 years old. And I read Us Weekly. And when she's trying to lure the guys in, she's out in the world pretending she's the person.
Yeah.
I remember it being all like handheld camera work and very like super realism kind of. And this goes the opposite direction. There's all kinds of wacky colors.
Yeah. No,
it's purely about evoking a mood, like you said, first thing.
And I know I mentioned this when we were watching it, but it felt like Aphex Twin's Ambient Works Part 2, which, if you've listened to it, it's just like this weird, surreal, ambient, like cosmic kind of sounding horror film.
I have not heard that. I think
it's a great album, but it's like it definitely transports you to somewhere weird, a lot like this movie does. You know,
Do I need to be on drugs to listen to
no,
Aphex Twin?
no, I don't think so. I mean, it's more, it's not like Window Liquor or
Right.
It's more poppy.
Yeah.
I can't, if you can call Window Liquor poppy. Or
Well,
Come to
popular at
Daddy.
least.
Yeah, no,
more
it's more
dance
like
tunes or what have you.
quiet, weird. Like if you were trapped alone in the woods and you were listening to it, you might go like insane.
Mm-hmm.
I almost said in crazy.
Go in crazy. After I recorded the last episode with Jake Lloyd, we kept talking about the movie we'd watched, Swiss Army Man. Unfortunately, we didn't record any of it, but something occurred to me during that discussion. Swiss Army Man is like a Tool song, whereas a movie like They Live is like a Nine Inch Nails song. They're both very good in their own ways, and one is just a little bit more digestible than the other.
Mm-hmm.
But Swiss Army Man has a lot to unpack, like a Tool song. Like Lateralis say, there's a lot going on.
Listens to both these bands.
Yeah, I hope so. Like, I'm the biggest Nine Inch Nails fan in the world, but recently, just because it like showed up in my YouTube feed, I started listening to more Tool songs and people like breaking them down, hearing them for the first time, that kind of shit.
Yeah. And
ever since I've been listening to 10,000 Days again, it's kind of like ruining other music for me. So when you watch a really good movie that makes you really think and you can think about it, it makes a movie like this seem kind of pointless.
Right.
Even though it's fun.
Well, that's why I was surprised to hear that you actually kind of came around to Lost Highway, because I feel like for years I was trying to get you to watch Mulholland Drive.
I mean, I will again, but we
since
we just did Lost Highway, let's not do
I'm
another
not
David
gonna,
Lynch movie.
I mean, Lost Highway is way out there, like
Yes,
much
it is.
more than Mulholland. Mulholland Drive is like a piece of cake by comparison.
I think mostly I understood Mulholland Drive already.
I see out Lost Highway was a movie that I thought was impossible to figure out. So the fact that you guys seemingly figured it out pretty well,
Mm-hmm.
I actually need to go watch it, listen to the podcast again, and then go back and watch it again to see
if it all gels.
What's going on there, because
It does, man. It makes total sense. We did a great job.
uh,
I don't know if Ryan
curious.
cheated and went to a website.
It sounded like it. Ryan.
Fucking Ryan.
Fucking Ryan.
But I guess parting note for me, I want to quote Roger Ebert: "A movie is not just what it's about; it's how it is about it."
Right.
And there's some real artistry on display in this movie. The big monologue from the cult leader, I just can't remember his name now.
Uh-huh.
He does it in a close-up and without blinking, seemingly. I'm sure there was some CG erasure of blinks, but this really long shot fades very slowly between his face and Mandy's face, and they line up really well. And it kind of like draws you in, and that was the closest we get to seeing how this charismatic cult leader can draw people in.
Yeah.
Because he makes you think you're special, and we're the
clearly
same.
it didn't work very well.
Didn't work
She
on her, no.
immediately starts laughing at him. I mean, I guess he did drop his robe, show her
Rubbing his belly.
show her his dick, and then started jerking off in front of her. But
Yeah.
then she just burst out laughing, which
Harder and harder.
pretty goddamn funny.
But
yeah,
there's so much. There's still so much potential in this director.
yeah.
I want to see him keep making more.
I want to see him do.
This is his early stuff still.
I want to see him do. Well, I want to see him do someone else's script.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I know he probably doesn't want to do that, but it would be interesting just to see, because I'm sure he would actually create something pretty unique. And my question would be, did he write this? He did.
Yeah, he wrote
did.
this.
Yeah, and I'm guessing he did Beyond the Black Rainbow as well,
Mhm.
and that's probably what he wants to do, is his own things like that. But it would be interesting to see him do something somebody else did. Just because I worry that he may be constrained by himself.
I feel like he could turn out to be the American Gaspar Noé.
Yeah, I could say that.
And I
I've
don't
never
know
seen
if that
Casper,
would be...
But I know his movies, Into the Void and
fuck.
all that, right?
Fuck, man. Irreversible.
Oh, I've seen Irreversible.
Just cut my brain out, man.
I didn't know he did that.
I think that was Gaspar Noé.
I
And he
think that
did
was
the
somebody
one
else.
that was like... It was...
I see. That's a movie I could not get through. Irreversible.
I don't need to
I
see
watched
that ever
it,
again.
but I was like, how was that like 10-minute long take of him getting some guys getting his head caved in by a with a fire extinguisher?
Yeah, it's the first scene of the movie.
It
Kind of
was-
tells you up front how it's going to go.
what this movie's gonna be like.
And then I can't remember the name of this other movie. Maybe it was... No, a different movie was called Love. But he did one about like some 20-something-year-old drug dealer who is killed, and then his spirit leaves his body and floats through the whole city, and it's presented as one uncut take. And there's some amazing techniques in there as far as moving a camera around, but it's super slow, and it's crazy colors, and it's got a very unique point of view. But these movies are not ones you need to see twice.
Right. Well,
At least I would watch this movie again.
hey, at least it's pushing the boundaries of
Right.
whatever.
There's always got to be somebody out there who was
Somebody's
trying to
pushing
do
the
something
boundaries
new.
so that we know. Okay, we don't need
Where
to
to
go there
stop.
again. On that note, I've got nothing else to say about this other than check it out.
Yeah, check it out. Keep an open mind, and maybe you'll like it more than we did.
And I'm sure at some point, much to Mark's dismay, we'll go back and visit Beyond the Black Rainbow.
You know,
which
I've seen that movie 3 times. Once by myself, once with Ashley, and then a
Once
third
with me.
time with you when you like stopped by my house, and I was like, I gotta show you this thing.
Even though it was something I wanted to see way before that too, but yeah,
Yeah, it's funny that the second 2 times I watched the movie, I was just there with another person going, "Isn't this so fucked up?" That's why I showed it.
that's
to
not
people.
how I remembered it. I remembered you mostly being like, "Well, I guess we could watch this again."
Oh. Okay.
That's how I remember you.
I
Well,
prefer
now
it my
you'll
way.
be able to watch it a 4th time with me and our audience.
Yay!
Hooray!
We have
But
an
not
audience.
anytime soon. We've got plenty of other movies to do.
Yes, dozens.
All
Okay,
right.
we should wrap it up. It's 11 p.m.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Oh my God, it's 11 p.m. That's way past my bedtime.
I'm almost 40.
You're so old, dude.
You're almost
You
40.
said you were 14.
I was lying, Chad. I was lying to your face.
All right. Well, I'm Chad Peter.
I'm Mark Heiliger.
And,
This has been The Hell With This.
and we'll be back, presumably every single week from now on out.
Boy, I hope so.
We hope.
All right, we're done here.
It's Dragon Wagon.
Gamebox Monthly sends a new awesome indie tabletop game right to your door every month. There are multiple subscriptions to choose from, and you can personalize them to fit your style. Also, you're guaranteed to never get a title you already have, letting you focus on what matters most, having a great time with great people.
So visit GameboxMonthly.com and use the promo code DRAGON to get an exclusive discount just for the Hell With This listeners.
Once again, that's GameboxMonthly.com.
Rediscover social.